Bears podcast. I'm your host, Anton, and of my co-hosts is Scott Godfrey and Shawn of USA Lacrosse. How you doing, Shawn?
I'm doing well, Anton. How are you today?
Good.
Good.
I'd like to say thanks for coming on, Shawn. We've known each other well, and it's just exciting to just be able to have you on our podcast. Our podcast is dedicated to highlighting and talking about adapted and inclusive lacrosse. And so you've had a little bit of experience with that, so we figured little backstory. Anton, one of the first people I talked to when getting lacrossing barriers going was Shawn. We stumbled upon something through a webinar we were on, and that was 4 or 5 years ago. So
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, it's been impressive and cool to see how you guys have gotten started so quickly here, and seem to be making a pretty much immediate impact. So it's fills me with a lot of inspiration and just drive to keep it going. So it's cool to watch from afar. And I got to get up there sometime and do a wheelchair picnic in Calgary.
There we go. So Anton, do you want to start off some questions?
How long have you been playing lacrosse for?
So I grew up playing. I started playing in about 5th grade, I want to say. I think I was about 11 or 12 years old. I grew up in Massachusetts, outside of Boston, and I grew up playing hockey. First, that was kind of my first love. And I remember, I think I was playing soccer, and there was these kids running around in the field next to the soccer field with what looked like hockey equipment and sticks, and I was like, what the heck is that? And my dad kind of saw that I was staring off into the distance at the lacrosse game and not really paying attention to soccer anymore. And he figured, let's maybe sign him up for that. So played in high school, played in college. I won't give you the whole story, but had an injury and have now played the wheelchair game. And I've been playing wheelchair lacrosse since 2019.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah. I'll chime in with your position.
Yeah, so I'm based in Denver, Colorado. It's kind of a rainy, chilly morning. It's starting to feel like fall in Colorado, which is great. My full-time job is actually work for USA Lacrosse. I'm the mountain regional manager out here and kind of work with the grassroots recreational lacrosse programs in the region. And I've also taken on a lot of the adaptive and wheelchair programming for USA Lacrosse as well, due to the fact that I think I have a disability myself, but I'm also on the board of Wheelchair Lacrosse USA, and so that's just a volunteer position, just helping put on our events and trying to grow, the sport of wheelchair lacrosse. It's like a lot of us wear a lot of different hats.
Fair enough. How long have you playing wheelchair lacrosse for?
It took me a little while, honestly, after my injury to try it. But when I moved back to Colorado, I knew they had a team here, so got in touch with those guys like 2018, I want to say, and then that summer, so summer of 2019 was my first summer playing. And I've gone to 3 or 4 different national championships. So it's been a lot of fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, my question would be, how many, what the biggest need in wheelchair lacrosse right now in North America?
Great question. Yeah, I mean, the sport is still pretty young, as you guys know. Where, I want to say the organization was founded in 2010, 2011, so like just over 10 years old. the biggest need, I think, is just more teams so that we can have more opportunities to play. Right now there's about a dozen competitive teams. We just hosted our national tournament. We had 10 teams out there. It was super competitive. The talent gets better every year, but it'd be great to have more teams just to kind of fill in so that, we can have more tournaments and get more action. I was talking to somebody the other day actually about, we had some really fantastic officials at this last national championships. I thought they did a phenomenal job, but that's another area that I do think we need to spend some more time in, is training our officials and also our coaches on kind of the intricacies and nuances of the wheelchair game, because it's lacrosse at the end of the day, but there are some unique aspects to it.
Nice.
Yeah, and we need some international teams too. We need a Canadian teams for us to go up and play against. So.
Well, how long has been Retro Lacrosse?
Yeah, so those guys in San Diego, I think you've connected with Ryan Baker, Scott, and Bill Lundstrom down there.
Yeah.
They started playing, I think it was 2009, and really got the organization going in like 2010. Started doing some clinics. So it's still really young in terms of a sport, but those guys, they really bootstrapped it and did a lot of their own fundraising and just spent money out of their own pocket, frankly, to get it this far. So we're kind of at this, I think, next stage where we're looking to USA Lacrosse, we're looking to Move United, we're looking to other organizations to help us out. And, it's cool to see some like established adaptive sport organizations, starting to get on board and realize that, if they offer hockey or basketball or rugby, like, why not lacrosse, right? So we're starting to get some more traction.
Pretty cool story.
Yeah, I was sort of looking down at the screen, and that's just wild. What was it for you like? And we'll having Mark on the cover of Lacrosse for you. That whole issue. Can you give us a little backstory so people understand? And
yeah, I'm wondering, do I have one right here?
And thank you for sending those. Anton, I've got a copy for you. It is, but what was that like? Because when I saw it, I thought of my dog. I thought of Megan. I thought of Ryan. It just.
Yeah, it was kind of emotional, to be honest. So if you don't know, USA Lacrosse has a magazine, that we send out to our members.
Did it freeze up?
Yeah, okay. You're good. Let's go ahead.
Yeah, it's okay. Glitched for a second, but I think it's okay on my end at least. Scott might be freezing up there.
It looks like I can hear you guys.
There you go. Yeah, if you can hear me.
There we go. I'm back. Sorry, guys. It happens once in a while. I need a better computer, Anton.
God, no worries. It's always glitching.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm just doing this on my phone. I hope it's working okay. But to answer your question, Scott, it was sorry.
I'm just going to here. There. Sorry, I just went onto my phone. It's better reception. So.
Cool.
So sorry. What was that like? Now that we the whole magazine was fantastic to me. It was emotional. Can you walk us through the backstory?
Yeah, it was kind of the whole range of emotions, to be honest. Yeah, so if you don't know, like USA Lacrosse, we have a magazine that we send out to, a couple 100,000 members across the country. And the editorial team, decided to do an entire edition. It was called the Unlimited Edition on different athletes with disabilities playing lacrosse. And the cover story was one of our wheelchair lacrosse athletes, a guy named Mark Krenz out of Milwaukee, who was just named the MVP of the 2023 national tournament. So we did a good job picking the right cover guy, I think. He's a stud. He's an incredible athlete. But yeah, to answer your question, I was proud, I guess, I think is the simplest term, that I could contribute a little bit, to the magazine. I was impressed by the way the writers approached a lot of those stories. Scott, I'd love to get your feedback, but I felt like, the one thing that I really wanted was for those athletes to be kind of celebrated and covered as athletes, right? And to
Sure.
Like I think we all know, like their disabilities are part of them, and it may be a big part, but it's not all of them, right? And it's really about the fact that they can play lacrosse, and they're inspiring to me, but not just because they have a disability. They're inspiring because they're like really creative and hardworking and talented and committed to the sport, just like any other athlete that we've had on the cover or anywhere else in the magazine. So I think it was a really important and hopefully good step just for representation and to create awareness. I mean, I was kind of looking at some of the social media comments, and there's a lot of stuff like, "Oh, I didn't even know wheelchair lacrosse existed," right? Or like, it's so cool to have a college lacrosse player who's deaf, or I think there's a middle school goalie with cerebral palsy. Like, I don't know. I think a lot of people aren't even aware sometimes of what athletes with disabilities can do. So I was just proud that we were able to put it on that big stage and create some awareness. So now the next step is, how do we create more of these opportunities and really invest in them? So
cool. You got a question?
How many teams are in the US right now?
So for wheelchair, like I mentioned, we had 10 at our, attending our national tournament, which I think was the most we've ever had. There's a few more that are kind of in development, I would say. So you're probably looking at between, 12 to 15 teams right now. And yeah, we're trying to grow it. So I think, like I mentioned, with some of the adaptive sport organizations starting to kind of catch on and thinking like, okay, this could be a really good summer sport for us. We're starting to see some sled hockey programs, right? Want to start lacrosse. See some more basketball athletes want to play lacrosse. So yeah, it's still fairly small, but again, like in the course of 10 years to have almost 15 teams around the country, just totally grassroots, I think is pretty impressive. So I could see it growing pretty quick, hopefully.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
It was funny. We were at the Minto Cup, and for some of our viewers, it is the Canadian Junior Indoor Box Lacrosse Championships, and Brendan Boyle goes to Marquette, and he actually knows Mark Krenz. And his quote was, he goes, "Dude's handles are better than half our team," which isn't a surprise, but it's nice to see him talking not about he's a good wheelchair lacrosse player.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it was good that he goes, "No, the guy's legit. Like, the guy's a player, not, oh, that's great." And I think moving that past, like when you see Sledge or you see a wheelchair, a Paralympian, you're talking about someone who's really good at their sport. You're not talking about the fact that their legs don't work, or they've got an incomplete fracture, or they have one hand. You're talking about somebody who's just good at a sport. And I thought Brendan's comment really, I just like, yeah, that's a start. That's a really good start. You're looking at the athlete and not his wheelchair.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, and a few of the Marquette players actually were on the bench. They helped coach the team, and
Yeah.
a lot of those guys, are wearing like Marquette equipment from a year or two ago. So Marquette's been really supportive, going all the way back to Coach Joe Amplo was, I think, the first one to get that relationship going. But totally agree. Mark is a lacrosse player, and I've seen it just in the 4 years. I've seen him develop and grow. And I'll give you a quick story, Scott, because I know you're kind of a coach mind as well. But I remember last year, he's so fast that he can just if he wants the alley, he can get the alley, right? But we play with box goals, and we got pretty big equipment. So if you're going down the alley, he's kind of got a low angle shot, right? And so last season, I could see him beating his man and taking a lot of those shots on cage, and some of them would go, but a lot of them were getting saved. And then this year, I think in the championship game, he had 4 assists because he's learned, he's developed. He knows that, okay, I'm going to beat my guy down the alley, I'm going to draw a slide, and then I'm going to pass it cross crease, and that is the best way to score. And he was making, I should know because it was against my team that they beat in the championship. He had 4, at least 4 assists because he's now, people know him, and so he's drawing a lot of attention. But rather than trying to do it all himself, I'll give him props for he knows that once I get a ton of attention, I move the ball. And it's kind of that next level of development where he's really making other players better. That's the cool thing that I've seen. So, yeah, and there's a couple more athletes. I don't want to, Mark's amazing, but he'll be the first one to kind of deflect. They had a couple midfielders that were new this year that were fast. They've got a lot of athletes on that Milwaukee team, so they're going to be tough competition the next few years. But I love what you said about being a lacrosse player first. That's spot on.
Anton, any other questions? You got something?
No, that's all the questions you have. Give me, Scott.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I didn't know that there's so much conversation. I figured, I've just got one more. What can we do? What can lacrossing barriers do to grow the game, and what do you need us to do? If you said, look, you've got 2 tasks, do them. What can we do to improve? What can the podcast, what can lacrossing barriers do to make this better?
Oh man, I think you guys are doing it. You guys are one of the originals in my book. Just like I said at the top of the podcast here, I think you guys are creating awareness. You're doing the podcast, you got the merch out there. I see some of the PLL and NLL guys wearing lacrossing barrier shirts now. I think you're doing a great job of creating awareness and, more importantly, running programs and giving kids a chance to play. So I just keep doing what you're doing and sharing the message. And, as folks reach out to me, I'm going to reference you as a resource. And, if you'd be willing to, I know we've talked offline in the past, but I'd like to put together some sort of adaptive lacrosse committee, if you will, or group of people, or the quote unquote experts or people who are experienced doing this, so that when we get somebody new who's interested in running some of these programs, we can say, hey, talk to Scott, right? Or hey, talk to Marty in Maryland, or other folks who are kind of pioneers. It's fairly new still, and so you guys are breaking new ground. And
wow. And the one thing that I'll do is sometimes I talk the most, but it's like Anton, he'll sit there and email me, go, dude, don't do that. It's the bad look for adapted sport. Anton's, that's why he's our media manager. He will keep me checking. Go, hey, sometimes I bark at him, and we're best friends and work partners.
Oh, yeah.
But sometimes Anton will do it and go, dude, you got to ask about autism, or you got to ask about cerebral palsy. You forgot. I'm like, So we've got a structure of people that are like just they're into it and they're passionate because it's about lacrosse. Last night we were in Les 2.5 hours. We were going to do blind lacrosse November, and the Alberta is in chair talking, and we're going to develop blind lacrosse. But when we started November, everyone agreed. So all the people that are chairs are going, no, let's do this. Emily, who is, I'm very low sighted, so I'm blind. I'll get my friends and let's get the people in the wheelchairs just going to all abilities across and grow.
Kind of chop.
And last night, the 15 people. Sorry? Yeah. Am I on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sorry.
A
So
little topic. I think you were talking about the all abilities and maybe some black house. Yeah.
Yeah. So what we're going to do though is we're going. Am I? Did I lose again? Yeah.
No, you're good.
Okay. So we are deciding that we want everyone to play, and this was not my decision. So there are people that are at risk, Indigenous youth, people in wheelchairs, people that are blind, and people that just have limb loss are all going, no, let's do this together. And each section will grow, so we're including everyone. And it was, I had to walk out of the gym and just stop and go, wow. It was just really good because it's developing lacrosse for everyone, and there were some junior and college players there, like in goal, and that one clip of Oliver, who it is just a blender of energy. But it was like, that's how we're going to grow it, because the one woman who's visually impaired says, I have a friend in a wheelchair that's going to come out. I go, why? Because I'm going to make him, because he's lazy and he owes me, so he's going to come try it. Please understand when I say that, that was her talking about her friend and being joking. But she just, no, I got a friend that, and it was, it was just really cool. It was everyone at the box just throwing the ball around. It was the medicine game. It was, so the blind thing is going to grow, but what we're going to do is we're going to have shirts for adapted lacrosse in Southern Alberta that say all abilities, all possibilities.
Yeah, love it.
And we've got a guy tonight. I will send pictures. He's allowing me. He's coming to lacrosse tonight. His name's Taylor. He uses a power chair, level 4 quadriplegic, but he wanted to try. We did a clinic, and he's saying, I'm coming. So I got a shorter stick. He can use about a 18, 20-inch shaft, and he says, I love this. And we have to include, if someone wants to play, you find a way. So I just wanted to update you, Anton and Shawn, last night. It was fantastic, and it's about everybody, right?
Nice,
So,
Scott.
Yeah. Done any other thoughts, Anton, on working?
Shawn, thanks for coming on the podcast today.
Yeah, thank you guys. I mean, I know I'm the guest, but Anton, I want to learn from you. What do you think we could do better?
Think probably grow the game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what you got.
And tonight, Anton, and also playing are a little more competitive. Anton's a coach as a player. He's not coach as a media part. So,
Yeah, Scott's still asking about he's talking about the lawn pole, all of that stuff.
Yeah, he's told me that you like the long pole. You like throwing checks.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Well, keep up the good work, man. It's cool what you're doing with the podcast. So, of
Yes, thanks.
course. I want to tell Scott.
Shawn, we'll talk soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime, guys. It's